Hello, welcome back. In the previous 2 episodes you saw that we purchased the plot, I showed you around, and that we cleared some trees for creating space for activities. But I never explained why did we buy the plot. So now here I'm back in my office and I'll go into that a little bit. For at least half of my life I've been coming in the area and I always like it. It's a nice place. I'll put up some pictures here next to me so that you can see that, we've been traveling there a lot. But of course that's a travel destination. That's not yet a place to purchase a house or to purchase a plot and build a house or whatever you want to call it. It's just a nice travel destination. But during the pandemic it changed a little bit. We had lockdown and I was so fed up with it. So I said, let's go to Finland. There's fewer people, there's less problems, there's less rules and there's more freedom. So grab some stuff, throw it in the car, we go there and we'll see what happens. We'll probably find an Airbnb and we just stay there. Now, what was a great plan, but it was not very realistic because we had work commitments, we could not just leave and go, unfortunately. But it gave us the idea to create a plan to do it the year after. So we decided for the Christmas of 2022, I think it was, let's go and spend the whole polar winter in Finland. And we could plan for that. We did that. We made sure we had no work commits. So we went there, we stayed there, and we enjoyed it a lot. Yes, it's dark. Yes, it's cold. But compared to where we usually live, there's not a lot of rain. It's dry. Snow, you can just shake off your clothes. And the cold, yes, you can dress up for that to a certain extent. But we just liked it. And then people ask us, but what did you do there? Well, the same as at home. Did a bit of remote work, went to the gym, you do your groceries, you go to the movies sometimes, you go and have a bite to eat. Nothing special, but the same things you do at home. And of course, we would go regularly on walks. And during those walks, we actually a few times passed along a house, and that got my attraction. I'll put some pictures up here because I saw it as an opportunity. And that house was abandoned. You could see there was no snow cleared, etc. And it looked old and chubby and grumpy and not really a nice house or anything. But the location was perfect. On the corner of town, just one side you can go and easily go to the store. The other side, there's nothing, there's forest. You can just enjoy nature. So that got me thinking, why can I not buy that? Or how to figure out who owns this and how to just get to the point that I know who owns this house and that I can take some kind of action on it, on looking into it. Now, of course, it was just a dream and it was a joke, and that my girlfriend, we're going to buy that house, and she laughed a little bit about it. But when I got home, I started doing some research. And during the research, I figured out a few things. That the house was owned by the city, or actually the plot was owned by the city, and the house was just old and rotten. I figured it out. I also saw that in 2021 it had been offered up for auction, but nobody wanted to pay the reserve. So it was still there. That also showed pictures of the house, that it was in a horrible state. So the first thing I said, we need to bulldoze down the house if we ever purchase it, because this house is just not a place to live in comfort. So that was good to figure out. I also saw that the city had put up a tender to demolish the house because it had become a health hazard, and I can understand that it was moldy and humid and hasn't been heated for a long time. So that was that. Now, it kept going because I still didn't have a proper lead on to figure out where and how to purchase it. But then, because we liked that winter in the north so much, we decided to go again the next winter. And we went there a little bit later in the season, a little bit more light, because we also wanted to experience that. And we noticed that the plot was empty. So the house had been demolished, the plot was there, still there. And we also figured out that it had been offered for sale by the city. So we informed and we said we want to buy the plot. And the message was, well, yes, there's a lot of interest in the plot, and later in the spring we will offer it up for auction. Well, that was a little bit of a setback because we thought we pay the price and we have the plot, it is done. But okay, if it's up for auction, let's participate in that. So we put ourselves on the list to get notified, and yes, we got notified. It was up for auction, it would run for 30 days, and it all looked fine. Of course, we had our internal conversations on how much can we offer for that, but it's very difficult to figure out kind of a limit if you come from an area where ground is very expensive compared to a plot up in the north of Finland. But well, we had that discussion, we looked at it, also started looking around a little bit about houses, if it was a feasible plan, yeah? And if you go and look at that and you Google here for log houses, because we actually immediately had the idea we wanted to have this log house, but not a traditional log house, but much more a log house that is built from this kind of laminated logs. So if you look, your outside wall is log, and from the inside and the outside, just the log is the wall. That's it. And those logs are made, as you can see here, from laminated wood. So it's not from big tree, but it's made also from smaller trees, and that makes it affordable. But still, you have that same thing that it is all wood and no artificial materials inside of there. And if you then start looking into these log houses, you see there's many vendors, for instance here, built very traditional houses. It's not kind of the style we liked. Others, they explain a lot more about the materials and, you know, the environmental impact. And well, we started studying. And also other sites, they offer even prices. And these prices make it very interesting to kind of budget for. And if you dig a little bit deeper, some will also mention overall budgets. How much do you need to have for the house? How much for the heating? Because often in this price, heating is not included, or heating source, because that can depend where the city provides it, or electricity or geothermal heat, all these kind of options you have. Often it doesn't include the foundation either, because the house builder, it's like a catalog, you purchase a house, etc. But it was good to do that. Anyway, we had an idea, it would be a feasible plan, and let's go and wait for the auction. So a couple of days before the auctions, we tried to register, and then another disappointment, because in order to register for the auction, you need to prove your identity, and that was done through a Finnish bank account that we don't have. So we couldn't even participate in the auction, and that was the end of the plan and the end of the dream, and everybody thought, okay, we tried, it failed, unfortunately, let's go on with our lives and we'll come up with something alternative to do. But then the auction started, and we looked, and there were no bidders. What's that? There was a lot of interest, was told us, but nobody is bidding on it. So I said immediately, contact the city, tell you want to purchase the plot, and that we want to pay it immediately, over and done with. Well, that went back and forth a little bit, and yes, there was no biddings, and they would like to sell it, but there was still a procedure that others could protest against. So again, a couple of weeks later, so in total we almost wasted like 6 months before we could actually purchase the plot. Agreement was made up, and then last September, when you saw we walked around on the plot, we had just signed all the papers, and it was ours. So there's a little bit of a story what come from. It's a nice destination to be. We spent 2 winters in the area, and also some other parts of the year. We liked it a lot. It's nice, it's quiet, there's still enough to do, so it's not so small that you're really by yourself. It's still a town, there are some shops, there's an airport nearby, so it's also easy to reach there. And we're very happy with the plot, especially the location, that it is on the edge of town, so close to the shop, but also close to the rest and not too many neighbors to do that. So overall, we're very happy with the purchase. We like it. We're also excited about the next steps, because we are of course already very busy with house selection and doing all the design work for that, with a goal to start building, let's say, after the winter, when the snow is gone and the ground is not frozen anymore, but will probably May, June next year. But I'll update you on that in the next episode. So, a lot of talking, not much to show, but still an update for you. I'll thank you for watching, and if you haven't seen the other episodes go and check them out. Make sure to subscribe so that you also see follow-up episodes coming along.